Hi there, Jim Ruta here for SOLIS, the International School of Life Insurance Sales, sponsored by Custom Plan Financial Advisors, Forsters Financial Group, Canada Protection Plan, Bruce Etherington and Associates, Enforced Life, and our media sponsor, insuranceportal.ca. Hey, if you want a smarter business, a more focused business, and a more profitable life insurance business, be sure to attend SOLIS number 3 on May 3rd, 2022, featuring a rare conversation with Lawrence Ian Geller. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock somewhere, Lawrence is president of L.I. Geller Insurance Agencies Limited in Campbellville, Ontario, outside of Toronto, and calls himself a life insurance agent. He is a recognized expert in the design and administration of disability income and group benefit plans for partners in professional firms, and claim and litigation support for disability, life, critical illness, long-term care insurance as well. He is an expert on agent and advisor governance and compliance issues, life and health insurance policies, plans, and programs. And Lawrence is also the 2021 J.G. Taylor Award winner. Lawrence is as bright a guy in this business as exists and has been extraordinarily successful for many years. So welcome, Lawrence. Hey, look, you and I have been friends for many years, but there are many agents who really don't know what you do. Could you briefly describe your business so our audience has an understanding of where you're coming from?
Certainly. Thank you, Jim. I must say first, I watched both of the first 2 SOLIS webinars, and they were absolutely excellent. And I think essential viewing for anyone in the insurance business. Like most agents, I was taught early on that our natural market was people who were within 5 to 10 years of our age. Since many of my friends at the time were young lawyers, I looked for ways to deal with them. Unfortunately, most law firms provided then, as they do now, mandatory benefit programs, generally through group insurance policies.
Right.
Looking at those plans, I pretty quickly realized that they weren't really adequate for people who would have rapidly increasing incomes and who based their lifestyle and expenditures on annual income growth. They counted on it going up every year. They bought a house based on that assumption. They had a family and sent their kids to schools based on those assumptions.
Right.
And the plans were really catastrophic loss, total disability, and 1 or 2 times income life insurance. And we all know that just doesn't work for someone like a lawyer or an accountant or us, who can still make money working part-time, but their lifestyle falls off almost immediately. The group plans then weren't adequate for the needs of the associates or partners. I had to find a way to deal with the firm to get the young associates and partners to become my clients. And ideally, I wanted to do it on a guaranteed basis where it was mandatory. Well, that became the practice, the basis for our practice, once we developed GSI with Big Bob Gould from Paul Revere Life in 1979. And we were away to the races at that point.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's pretty much how we connected on the basis of disability insurance going back, some 40 years, I guess. That whole idea, that guaranteed standard issue, you really were the advisor for lawyers across this country and major partnerships around the country. Now, look, you're far too humble to say so, but there are a few more educationally qualified agents anywhere. So tell me something. I mean, look, you've got the capacity to do whatever you want, but why do you focus like you do then?
Jim, Joe Dickstein probably described it best. There are 2 types of people in this world. One group are like shotguns, and the other group are like laser beams. When you have a shotgun, you shoot a bunch of pellets out of the end of your gun, and you hope to hit something. Well, a laser beam, you're pretty accurate, and you can almost always hit what you shoot at. Being fairly lazy by nature, I prefer to try to be a laser beam.
Yeah, I think you pretty much are a laser beam. Absolutely. There's not a lot of people more focused than you are. Absolutely. Now, you have this odd thing too. You are a life insurance agent. We've had this discussion before, but what does it mean, or what does being a sales professional mean to you then?
My job is to help our clients to try to figure out what's important to them and how they'll achieve those goals and what might happen to interfere with their success along the way. Then I try to help the clients to understand the options that are available to them to solve their potential problem and to make an informed decision about which option is best for them. After that, I simply walk them through the underwriting process, the placement of the policy, and the ongoing service of the plan. And then if there's a claim, I help them with that too.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm looking forward to this on May 3rd, when you get to talk a little bit about walking them through the underwriting and that sort of bulletproof application. That whole idea, I know, is a big part of this. I'm really looking forward to talking more about that. Now, when we talk about your success, and you have been wildly successful over the years, and again, and you're very low profile in this respect, but tell me, what would you say is the key to your success in this industry?
Persistency, consistency, and not reinventing the wheel. I also try not to run around and to reply to every client in a meaningful way promptly.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, that reinventing the wheel thing. I reinvented reinventing the wheel when I started, which is how I got sucked into management in the first case. I only wish I'd met you just a few years earlier and I would have been just fine. So, you know, I know that questions are a big part of what you do. And I mean, you and I talk back and forth, and lots of questions go around. How important are questions to your sales process and to your success at all this?
Without probing questions, we wouldn't know what the clients are thinking. And since the problems that we help people to solve are their problems, not ours, we have to know what they're thinking in order to help them to understand the problem, the options that they have available to them, and how to solve those problems. Questions always lead to greater understanding, don't they, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I know a big part of this too for you is, you know, it's their problems, not our problems. It's like their application. It's not my application. It's all of those things. And again, I just sort of underlining this stuff for the audience so that, man, there's so much information here. It's amazing. Now, I know that you're a unique sort of prospector, but you do what you call, I think, professional prospecting and permission marketing. So how do those two work in your business? You know, short story.
Permission marketing was a term that I first read about in an article written by Seth Godin in the late 1980s. He contrasted it with intrusion or interference marketing. A signboard is intrusion. The signboards along major highways that are lit up and shine in your face at night are interference, and most of us pay no attention to. When we get a client's permission to send them material that they have requested, and to speak about things that interest them, we always have greater success. And we spend less time getting to the conclusion, don't we?
Yeah, indeed. And I think that's whole thing. Then there's a lot to be said here. And we're going to talk a lot about that whole permission marketing, how to get people to ask you to send them information. That's a huge thing. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, I think, about you, or even that it's even possible, really, is that you do most of your business by telephone and now some by Zoom, I understand. Now, you've been doing this for a long time. Well, why did you go that way?
Well, let's start with, I do all of my business by phone and by Zoom. I have not.
I wanted to leave the possibility somebody might stroll by one day, but I got your point. Absolutely.
Well, I have lunch with people, or I did before COVID, and I hope to again. But that was to get to understand them and get to know them. There's nothing that stills a moving tongue faster than a moving pen. So I don't take pens to meetings. I try to remember.
Hold it. I just love nothing that stills a moving tongue like a moving pen. God, we got to write this stuff down. Anyway, sorry. Carry on. That
was Tom Worthington. He was 93 the day I came into the business. And that was the first thing he said to me. Well, the telephone started really with my manager in the late 1970s, Jim. His name was John Ferguson, and he suggested it was more effective to have all of our appointments in any day in as small a geographical area as possible. In Toronto, as in most major cities, we can waste much of our day stuck in traffic. So what John said to me made great sense at the time.
Yeah.
I started borrowing what they call client offices at law firms. These are little offices that they maintain so clients have somewhere to make private phone calls. And I had the people who I was meeting with in the firm that day come to meet me in my office in their firm.
Yes.
Then in the mid 1980s, we bought a cabin in Whistler, and my wife moved there. So I became a telecommuter and a little bit of a cross-country commuter. I had a fax machine and a mobile phone, and the mobile phone had numbers forwarded from several area codes in it, so people could call me on my dime.
Yeah, yeah.
When we moved back to Ontario, we moved to a home that's out in the country, and it seemed just natural to continue on the way I had.
Yeah. And have done extraordinarily successfully over the years. There's no question about that. Now, how do you maintain control in client relationships, and how does it lead to prospects actually coming to you? I mean, the phone thing, you know, how do you maintain control?
Well, you either control the client relationship or you control the information, but either way, you have to stay in control. And that's something that Sandro Forte spoke about in the last SOLIS web.
Yep,
And I wrote it down. I learned it from the late Mel Gilbert and Sheldon Turk. The two of them were wonderful partners, both to each other, and to those of us who were lucky enough to be part of creative planning while they were in their heyday. One of them, Sheldon, was an excellent prospector and closer, and the other, Mel Gilbert, was a consummate technician. What I think they meant was that many people want to take control. Many, if not most of our clients, like many or most of us, are type A personalities and want to be in control of every situation. When a client is in control, they can determine the agenda and the schedule. Without a sense of urgency, the clients may never act. And when they control the agenda, they have no sense of urgency. As Joe Dickstein always reminded me, the best policy for any client is the one that is in force and effect when the claim occurs. And the worst one is the one that they didn't buy. Sheldon and Mel taught me that even though I hated to prospect for clients, I could become referral. And over the years, that has morphed into a lazy cousin, being recommendable. This means that I now ask my clients to have their friends and associates call me if they need advice and counsel about something that I know something about. One funny thing is when the clients call you, you know they're interested. You know they are warm prospects.
Yes, indeed.
You call them, you don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
It also means that I don't have to make prospecting calls much of the time. And that has been an invaluable lesson. And to somebody who really did not like making prospecting calls, a boon to my business.
It amazes me how many people we talk about in this industry at the very highest levels of performance, people like you, who say, I don't like prospecting, and yet they find a way to make prospecting happen anyhow. And I think that's a lot about what we'll talk about on May 3rd. It's just going to be exciting. Now, something else I think, sorry?
Without prospects, we have no business. One way or the other, we have to have new prospects every day. And the other thing we have to do, and you and I talked about this previously, is determine whether someone is a good prospect. And if they're a good prospect now, they'll be a good prospect next year, even if they haven't bought this today.
And so what you're saying is you get a prospect reservoir, for a lack of better word, and that people don't leave that reservoir anytime soon, right?
Not as long as I like them.
As long as you like them. Exactly. Yeah, well, and why not? As long as we can still talk, then we keep working on it. That's absolutely great. Because, you know, but you motivate yourself too. And I think there's something you told me about, which I still wouldn't imagine you would do, but you do. You use that biggest check idea to motivate yourself, don't you?
I did, as long as we had checks coming in.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry.
But it was something that Bob Gould Sr. again suggested to me in 1981. And Jim, it's really worked for me. When we start off, we all think that the last big sale that we made is the last sale we'll ever make. Bob thought that the cure to that was constant positive reinforcement. And he said the way to get that was to have a stack of all your big checks that you've ever received in your desk drawer with the biggest one on top, just in a binder clip. And when I was about to make a call or was feeling down or insecure, I'd open the drawer and I'd look at that top check. And it would remind me that all that I have to do is to be consistent, to be persistent, and to be patient. And I'll soon have a larger check to put on top of the pile. I think the worst thing that insurance companies have done, as I said earlier, is to inhibit production from agents, is to move from physical checks to electronic fund transfer. When we have a check in our hand, Even if it's a corporate check, it's our money. When the money is in our bank account, it's there to pay bills. And it's somebody else's money now. It's not our money anymore. It doesn't motivate us the same way.
Yeah, you're right. When you have, it's like I always play with my $1 million bills, but you have it for a while. You got some cash for a while. You've got. Yes.
I am a multi-millionaire because of you.
Well, I know. That's the kind of guy that I am. I appreciate that. And if they were only real, Lawrence, it would be that much better. But you're right. It's a motivation about having that. It's that physical, tangible, tactile sense of that stuff. Now, look, there's obviously lots more going on. We've gone for a long time already. But is there any other secret that you'll be passing along on May 3rd? Is there anything else you want to highlight? Perhaps one simple thing.
When you leave an office, a client's office, or they leave yours, they should say, if I sold insurance, God forbid, that's the way I'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Indeed, that's an amazing thing. It's a absolutely important way. You want to lead by example. And I know, Lawrence, that's exactly what people say when you and a client meet. They all say, man, that's the way I would do it if I were to do that. And, you're going to learn a lot more about what Lawrence does, about all of this stuff. There was something I wanted, before we finish up here, there was something to do with being recommendable. And I just thought we could just mention that a little bit. There's a piece about being recommendable. And I know you were talking a little bit about Bruce Etherington and Sandro. Can you just, I know that little bit?
There's a big difference between a referral and a recommendation. A referral is a name for you to call. You know nothing about them. They know nothing about you. The call at best is slightly expected if they remember who you are tomorrow. And they're a cold prospect. If someone is recommended, that means they call you. Somebody who they respect says, you have this problem. You should speak with Geller. So they call me to ask for help. And I remember what Mr. Franklin said about asking for help, and we should discuss that on May the 3rd.
Yeah, indeed. Look, there's going to be a lot more going on in this session. I literally get goosebumps when I'm talking to people like you, and especially you, all of the information that you've got and that you can provide our members of SOLIS coming up on May 3rd. Now, Lawrence, I'm so excited to be sharing the kind of discussions really that you and I have on a regular basis, and I have had for decades with our SOLIS audience. And I can frankly hardly wait to do that. And I'm sure after this, our audience feels exactly the same way. So thank you for taking your time again today. SOLIS members, be sure you tune in on Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. when I'll be in conversation with Lawrence for more perfectly transferable ideas like this. And I think this is a big deal here. This is transferable stuff. Lawrence is a very successful advisor, but he'll talk in practical terms that anybody can use. And if you're not a SOLIS member, you can join right now at advisorcraft.com/SOLIS. And when you do, you'll get the bonuses, plus the videos from SOLIS 1 and SOLIS 2 with Bruce Etherington and Sandro Forte as well. But act soon, frankly, because those first videos, which were awesome, as you already heard from Lawrence, will not always be available when you sign up. So thanks again to Lawrence and to our Life Preservers, Custom Plan Financial Advisors, Forsters Financial Group, Bruce Etherington and Associates, Inforce Life, and of course, my friends at insuranceportal.ca. So we'll see you, I hope, on Tuesday, May 3rd, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you very much again, Lawrence. Much obliged, and look forward to seeing you all. God bless, and talk to you again very soon.